You know, I was not planning to make this video. I have been busy in the garage making coasters, making dust, and sanding way more than I probably should. Then my friend Rick from Precision Burn Laser Engraving in New Zealand asked me if I had seen the latest XTool Studio update. I had not. And a shout out to Rick and his buddy there, Big Kev, because both of those guys have been great supporters of the channel. So check them out. So the second another laser guy tells you, hey, check this out, you already know what happens. So I stopped what I was doing, get back to the computer, ran the update, started clicking around, and pretty quickly realized, okay, there's actually some useful stuff here. Not just new, useful. This update helps you stay inside XTool Studio. There's no need for fancy designing software. It helps you move through the setup faster and get to the part we all actually care about, which is making something. So in this video, I want to make a quick little sign I have been meaning to do anyway, and use it to show you the update features that stood out to me the most. So this is the project, a simple laser in use sign for the shop. Just one of those practical little things that should have existed already. And I think this is the perfect project for this update because it's simple enough to move through quickly, but it still gives you room to see whether these features actually help. And of course, if you like this kind of practical laser content, go ahead and subscribe. All right, let's get into it. Before we build anything, if you have not seen the update yet, you can check it right here and force the update if needed. So that part is easy. Now let's make the sign. I wanted the sign to feel simple and useful, something clean, clear, and not overdone. So we place our arrow, we expand the size there, we can edit it, right? So this is using the vector points there. Now if you hold Shift down on your keyboard, it will help keep things a little more straight. We select both points there at the end and expand things to the left there. Like I said, hold down Shift to keep the line straight. We select one of the points of the arrow there and we continue to expand and move things. You know, try to keep it as close as we can. It doesn't need to be 100% there, perfect all the time. I think that's enough there, pretty close. And we can get out of the editing mode, click on Done. So we select our arrow again. Let's unlock our ratio so that we can expand our arrow, make it a little wider. And let's add our text. Just got to learn how to type here. Laser in use. As you can see, we have a ton of different fonts, but let's just keep that Lato, the default one. Let's select engraving. Many people forget that part. And place our text in the middle, as close to the middle of that arrow as we can. Now, I know that I'll be working with plywood, so let's get that set now before I forget. Setting things up right now will allow you to see the settings XTool recommends and also be able to use the preview later on. Now we can check the material library, right? I like to know what XTool recommends for the material I'm using. In this case, we're just going to use plywood. You can select it from the list. You can type it in the search section there. And I'm using 3mm ply. Click apply. And as you can see, XTool provided you with their defaults. Again, a pretty good starting point. Now let's do something with the text. We don't want it so plain, right? And this is where the update starts getting interesting, because now I can shape that text right inside XTool Studio. Now let's format our text using one of the new additions here in this Studio update. Click on the Warp menu. That is new, right? And you got a lot of styles to choose from. We're gonna just select the first one just to show you. Let's move this out of the way a little bit. You can see that that warp value is what controls the warp. Who thought, right? You can move the slider or you can type it. You got the horizontal perspective. And of course, you can change that to your liking. Let's see what else they have. That arc lower, right? Again, you have a lot of control there with that warp value. And you can change the perspective, whether it is the horizontal or vertical. Now, if you notice, I didn't click confirm and I just got out. Well, whatever little adjustments you made is going to get lost. So always remember to click on that confirm. Even playing around sometimes can get annoying if you forget to do that. Let's see what else. Arc upper, basically the opposite of lower, right? The arch, kind of similar too, right? Let's see what else we got here. Bulge. I like this one though. I can think of a few projects where I can use something like that. And of course, we have a lot of options here to kind of play with. We got also here the wave, the flag. That one is fun, right? We have a fish style there. That's interesting. You see when you change there the direction from horizontal to vertical, that's where things get a little funky, but you know, maybe somebody's got a use for it. Now let's go back to our arc style. Let's just bring the value, the warp value there to 0, and let's just move that, the horizontal perspective, just to make it kind of fit nice inside the arrow. And let's just click confirm. We don't want to forget. Let's keep it bold and let's just shrink it just enough to fit it inside the arrow, right? That already feels better. It is a small change, but it makes the text feel like it belongs to the sign instead of just sitting there. And that is one of the reasons this update caught my attention. Not because the feature is flashy, but because it saves you from jumping into another program for something simple like this. Now, I also wanted to try out attach text to path. I love the names of these features. For this, I will copy the arrow and line it up just right again. And let's select the text. And just for a little bit of advertisement, let's do Severna builds. Remember, we are in score mode right now. Let's just shrink it to a good size. Let's stay with the bold. And let's switch from score to engrave. Again, we don't want to forget. Now, you know that I like my layers just to keep things straight in my head. Blue is what I use for engraving. So we select our text. We select our object, the arrow in this case. Right click and attach to path. You got to hold it and just move to place it where you want to. You can play with the size too, just to make things fit a little better. We don't want to be too annoying with our promotion, right? So you can move the numbers around there in the font, or you can just grab it here by the box around the text. I think that looks good. Again, let me move it a little bit to the back there so that it's not front and center. Now let's create an offset, a border. Select our arrow, click on offset. It's going to take a little bit to catch up with you. I used the straight corner style there, and let's just do an offset of, say, 10 millimeters. Let's keep the direction external. I don't know if that outer shapes makes a whole lot of difference when selecting the arrow, but let's just click confirm. And now we have our border around the arrow. When things get a little bit difficult to select because some of those objects are too close, I come back here to the layer and make it easier there. Let's just create another offset because I want to score that line and then do another line there for my cutting, just to give it a little more design flair. You can move the box around here, out of the way, click confirm, and I have my external cutting line, which I always use red for cutting there so I can keep things straight in my head again. Now, let's talk about one of those features that sounds boring until you actually use it. This arithmetic input. See, my cut layer, that red line, is a little too close. I think I can go a little bit bigger. So normally I would just expand that box manually, right? Clicking one of the corners and just making it bigger. But if I want to make small changes, I can now use the width and horizontal input to make my changes there. So now in this case, I can go to the width and directly here do +1 or +2. Those are millimeters, right? In my case. So that made that arrow larger by 2 millimeters. Let me try again. Let me do 1.5. Is that better? I don't know. Let me undo +2. Yeah, I think that looks better. So you see, instead of doing the math in your head or stopping to pick up the calculator or whatever, you can do that directly there in those input boxes. The same with the location. So -1 will move it 1 millimeter to the left, +1 will move it 1 millimeter to the right. And that seems to be centered pretty good. That's looking good already. Let me zoom in. Let's take a look at that line. Is it where I want it? Now, another area where you can input numbers and make changes directly is inside this angle box. So let's say you want to move things around different angles. You can do a +5 there. So it will also take that arithmetic input. Let's just use some larger numbers there just so you can see the difference. This is just to show you that you can also use that box there to make the changes directly. But for example, in the font box, you cannot do it. It doesn't work. You can type whatever you want, but it's not going to make a difference. It's not going to take it. See, let's adjust our power a little bit, other than the recommended settings, I mean. So let's change the power, the speed, and the LPC here to what works for me, right? So you see that 40, 350, and 140. But if you take a look at Severna builds, it's using the default. So what I can do now is I can right-click on my text, the one that I want to use as source, copy the settings, click on my other text, the one that I want to change, click the right-click, copy, paste settings, and do paste settings. And now, if I can select it, there you go. My original and my destination, right? My source and my destination, they match when it comes to the engraving settings. That was pretty easy. So I don't have to do that by hand anymore. And this goes from project to project. So if I open another project, I can also do the right click and paste those settings where I want to. So let me show you the preview. Again, this works fairly well. It has saved me quite a few times. You see, let me just kind of use my mouse here to move it a little bit to the left, to the right. You have the instructions right there on that little tip box. Zoom it in, zoom it out. A fairly good representation of what I'm trying to accomplish here. Pretty neat. Just remember that you have to select the materials from the material library for the preview to work. All right, so the design looks good. Let's head to the garage and see if this thing actually can make something that I'll be proud to display in the shop. For this sign, I'm using 3mm plywood, and let's just get it set up here in the laser. Once everything looked right, I rechecked the settings and ran the job. And now we get to the part where the software work stops for us and the laser takes the spotlight. Now, here's where things come out really nice, or the process pretty much humbles you. Thankfully, this one behaved itself. And here it is, the finished laser in use sign. Simple, useful, and honestly, a pretty good example of what this update is doing well. Because again, this was not just about making a sign. It was about shaping text inside a studio, testing the path of that text inside a studio, doing the quick math, copying the settings instead of rebuilding them. That's actually the bigger story here, right? Where this update actually helps smooth things out from idea to finished project. And if you want to learn how to make this next level laser in use sign, subscribe so you don't miss my next video. Now, this update also brought some laser specific updates. They don't apply to my machine, the S1 40 watt, but let me show you in case you have an F2 laying around. Let's just start another project. Let's bring a picture. This puppy, I really like this puppy. Let's adjust the size here so it fits the screen a little better. We're going to crop it a little bit too. So we click on edit and crop image. Let's just make it smaller again, just to show some of the other features here, but also so that we have enough space there to show you what's next. Now, here's one of the more practical things I wanted to show you. The S1 does not have a built-in camera, but with XTool Studio plus a quick photo from my phone, we can get surprisingly close to a very useful placement system. And now with the opacity control, that whole process gets easier. Because by lowering that image opacity, I can actually see my design placement more clearly. And that is especially helpful when your material is not perfect. Maybe there is a weird mark, some discoloration, or just a spot you want to avoid. Also, if you're working with weird shape cuts or off cuts, this is really helpful to make use of that real estate. It's not the flashiest of features in the update, but I think it's one of those more practical ones. You see the menus here on the top. So that's going to change a little bit because we're going to switch to my fictitious F2 Ultra here. You see the bed change size. So this change, like I said, is for a specific machine, but also for a specific mode, right? So we got to change the mode from process on flat surface to embossment, right? And now you see this emboss icon there in the menu. And you can generate the emboss for 6 credits. So let's just generate it so you guys can see. It takes a little bit depending on your machine, right? And there it creates this 3D image. And now if you preview it, it will show you what your project will look like. So if you had an F2, you can engrave this embossment on a brass coin, for example, and you have a pretty cool little puppy there to show off. So yeah, that's one of the more machine-specific changes. Let's just switch back to reality, right? My S140 watt. Now let's take a look at another one of those features that came up, but I don't see myself using, but maybe some of you guys will. It's here right there in the applications menu, and it's called Halftone Maker. So Halftone Maker there, you can create a professional halftone dot work texture from your images in seconds. So just to show you, let's just create a new one. You bring in your image. Let's use another one of my favorite poppies here. I use this little guy for my stone coasters. And you can play with the settings here, changing the dot spacing, the dot size will generate different types of, looks and textures for your image. You see the dots, the sizes, you can change all that good stuff. So if you're the artistic type, you can spend a lot of time here creating different images from your source. If you can see, you get to spend some credits here, but once a month you get one new credit you can use for your image creation here. Now, of course, this update also has some AI support enhancements. AI is all over XTool Studio, also on their websites. So if you happen to be in the support side, you can also use the chatbot there for support. Let's just test it out. I have a question about XTool Studio, a specific feature. Very broad question, right? Thinking of the answer, almost done. All right, let me know which specific feature of XTool Studio you have a question about. Let's see. Wait a minute. What's going on here? Wait. I have a question about XTool specific issue. If you want a practical video to key features, see below. That's me. No kidding. Look at that. Hey, great video. Thank you. Now, there are other additions in this update too. There's a nesting grouping, a lot of AI-related tools and support, and of course, the bug fixes. Depending on your machine and your workflow, some of those might matter a lot more to you. But for me, with my XTool S140 watt, the biggest win is still the workflow side. The part that makes the software feel more helpful and less like one more thing to manage. And at the end of the day, this is the kind of update I care about the most. Not the kind that just gives you more things to click. The kind that actually removes those little frictions here and there. It helps you move faster, test your ideas a little easier, spend less time rebuilding steps you already figure out once. That's where I think the real value is. And if XTool keeps going in that direction, I think Studio is only going to get more useful. And of course, once I started clicking around with the new tools, it also got really easy to experiment. I ended up trying a few extra little ideas after that sign, right? And of course, that's one other thing that I like here. It makes that playing around feel a lot easier. And I think that matters too, because some of the best little projects tend to start with that, let me just try something real quick. Let me know in the comments which of these update features would actually help your workflow the most. And also tell me this, are you the kind of person who updates right away, or do you like to wait a bit and let everyone else test things out first? And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like and subscribe. Of course, that really helps the channel and it lets me know you want more videos like this. Also, a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters for helping support what I do here. You guys know I really appreciate that. And just a reminder, you can join my Patreon even at the free level if you just want to stay in touch and keep up with what I'm working on. And of course, if you're curious about the laser I use, the materials, or the tools in this video, check the affiliate links in the description. If you buy using those links, it helps me out a lot and it doesn't cost you anything extra. All right, I'm Alex. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.